If you learn how to prevent, you won't have to react. This is a quote from a TikToker, one Premi Sterling, talking about how, as a nation, our tax dollars have been used more towards reacting to problems than preventing them from happening. And I bring this quote up not because they're an awesome person that you should follow, they're really good by the way though, but because I think it describes the message of what I'm gonna tell you pretty well. This video took a while, because I wasn't quite sure how to deliver this opening part. I've been trying about 7 times, at least, to figure it out. But I think the only real way to do this is to list off a few of the things that have been happening within the past 2 months in the US, and then give you a bit of a magnum opus of what the video is supposed to be for. Ready? This is a long one. A US bill has passed legislation to, quote, criminalize transgender sex transitions on minors, including surgeries, puberty blockers, and hormone therapy, leaving kids to deal with issues that could have been solved with puberty blockers in the dark. And then, when there was no verifiable evidence of fraud within the daycare system of Minnesota, pausing child care services for all 50 states. Trump and his associates are trying to cover Trump's ass because of when he's all over the Epstein files, so they heavily redacted it to the point where it could be compared to the SCP files, a fictional organization that redacts most of her documents for traumatization. Multiple national parks potentially associated with Trump are trying to phase out Martin Luther King Day, not Columbus Day obviously, just Martin Luther King. The president bombed Venezuela, making him the first president to bomb 7 states in 1 year by the way, kidnapped their president, planned to move in and take power over it as a money grab, threatened Greenland, and is potentially leading our country into another war if they are not careful. People are now getting arrested for even speaking out about this, and ICE has, in broad daylight, executed a Renee Nicole Good, an innocent woman with Homeland Security now lying about the entire incident, saying that it was self-defense, and while the average age of a homeowner, average renting price, and average percentage of homelessness at an all-time record high, the president, who is also a multiple-time, well-known confirmed rapist, wants to build a ballroom so that he could be remembered forever. The current government is not your friend. Yeah, you. Whoever's watching this video right now, I'm talking to you. They want one thing from you and me, our assets, so that the 1% that are in power can get richer. And I do want to know, while the rest of this video is going to be mainly addressing the LGBT community, this goes out to any minority group. The current government is not your friend. If you are not in the 1%, you are better off as a stepping stone and a soldier in their eyes. So, this happened. What happens now? Well, that's what I want to tell you about today. While we're going through such things of facing this adversity, of even trying to live, what are the steps you should take as a person or ally in any space that ensures that A, you'll be able to live happily, and B, the next generation will be able to live happily? The first thing we need to continue to do is to speak out. Educating uninformed kids and adults is the first step to fighting this kind of bigotry in the first place. And no, I'm not just talking about transphobes or something. A lot of them already have minds kind of stuck in a way where things aren't directly affecting them, or if they hear a particular buzzword point, they will immediately fall off the conversation and go hard back into their beliefs. I'm talking about those who are prone to falling into things like manosphere scams, fence sitters that don't really say anything about stuff, voters who would want someone in the office for the meme, etc. Everyone's lives are on the line at this point, so we need those few stragglers who can be informed to make real change happen. Personally, I think a good starting point to learn about this stuff would be Harper O'Connor's series on debating. A lot of people on the left kind of lose the emotional parts of the debates because the main strategy is to spew out facts. Something which can be effective, but isn't enough to 100% be a game-winning format. They have a ton of videos on how to look convincing to an audience of a debate, which you should be able to check out, especially if you're trying to debate someone like transphobes and bigots in front of an audience to change said audience's mind. Second, you need to know your resources. This stuff's gonna continue. Anything that's happening, at least translated, won't stop for another 2 to 3 generations. The ruling about the HRT, puberty blockers, and other things being denied to kids will cause damage for adults, because obviously kids under the age of 18 don't really do anything other than puberty blockers or social transition. What's happening is that doctors are going to be scared to provide HRT for anybody in an adult setting for fear of backlash and fear of the law. Making sure that you know doctors that will keep up with trans clientele is paramount, as well as making sure you know how DIY HRT works and how to perform it safely, considering it's going to be much harder to get your hands on this life-saving medicine. DIYHRT.info is one of the best resources for this job, allowing you to find a lot of information on properly using HRT without being prescribed. And the hidden risks of DIY HRT, what every trans person should know on Gender DP, is a great article on the topics of the risks of this kind of medicine. I would recommend you go to both websites and do your research before embarking on this kind of method in your medical transition. As for other minority communities, preserve and find sources of info that you can trust and that do not have monetary gain in their point, because money is what the people in power are going to try to use to spread disinformation. Third is a community. You'll have to stand by whatever community you have, and make one if you don't have one already. Black communities, Asian communities, gay communities, trans communities, they all have each other's backs, and you should make sure to have someone else's back as well. We all want to stand up for each other, be strong with each other. It's honestly human nature. And the fourth and final point is a pretty simple one. Stay strong. Not only have bad actors benefited from the most recent news, but they've been emboldened. This will be spun into things like evidence on why LGBT people and other minorities are so bad and horrible for years to come if we survive that long. And we need to stick it out with other support groups to make sure that we are all there for each other. And just remember, no matter what the people in office try to make you think, we are going to exist, we are going to live, and we are going to be heard. So at this point, takeaways are pretty simple, I think. We potentially know where the line's been drawn for conservatives, and we need to make sure we are more prepared than ever with this information. We need to stay informed, know our resources, and keep the sources we trust close to our chest. Because assuming this part of the era will end favorably, conservative people will probably figure out finally what they can and can't get away with, and will be vilified even more once they know those kind of rules. We have to remember that education and our experiences are the most important thing that we can spread, if not for our generation, then hopefully for the ones after us, so they don't have to be persecuted for the mere act of existing, so that we can prevent instead of react. But that's it from me. What do y'all think about the recent news? I hope to hear discussion from other individuals in other minority communities in the next 2 weeks. I should have a more lighthearted video back up soon in about 2 weeks' time. Make sure to also like and subscribe if you want to see more things on educating trans people and allies. And until then, I will see you soon, my moonlit roses.